All right, in order to actually work with the data in Python, we need to read the data in from, for example, CSV files. Let's take a look at how to do that. All right, so the first two lines, remember we have to include that every time we want to do some of these things that we're doing with data analysis. These libraries have different functions that we can use. Don't worry too much about that right now. But yeah, we're just bringing in NumPy and pandas. All right. So the next line, over here where it says data file equals, and then in quotation marks, this long string. So basically, these quotation marks denote that this is a string. And so basically what we're doing here is we're using this equal sign to assign this string to data file. And basically, this data file then becomes a string variable, and it just contains that information of this string, this CA underscore WAC, so on. Okay, and then in the next line, what we're going to do is we're going to use this read CSV function in pandas. So notice we do pd.readCSV. That means that we're going to look inside pandas, get that read CSV function to use, and it has one argument. So inside the parentheses, we give it the arguments. We're giving it right now one argument, and that is this string. And that string is the location of that CSV file. If you notice over here, this is my folder that I'm working in. This is untitled as my notebook. And then the CSV file is over here, the CA underscore WAC. And so basically, we have to make sure that that file is in the same folder. You can also edit this string to include the entire path, but if you don't want to have to worry about that, if you don't know, how paths work, that's fine. Just make sure that CSV file is in the same folder as your Jupyter notebook. All right, so basically what this outputs is a data frame object, and that basically is just that data frame object that contains the information in the CSV file. And so we're using equals to assign that to df, right? So basically df is a data frame object, and it contains the information in this CSV file that we brought in. All right, so I'm going to just try first running this. All right, so this little asterisk that you saw, that means it's running. And then now you see the number 1, that means it's finished running. All right, so now let's try first looking at data file. All right, so I just used Shift Enter, and we see what's in data file. It's exactly what we assigned it. We could also use different functions to kind of read what's inside there. So since this is a string, we can print out what's in data files. So print data file. And notice here it's without the quotation marks, and that's because that's the string that's being stored. It's printing out that exact string. And so there's a slight difference there. All right, so let's actually also try looking at df. Okay, this is going to be a little bit different, and we are going to see these little scrolling bars because we don't want to overload our screen, but let's see what happens. All right, so this is, if you've looked at the CSV file, this is what your data should look like. It doesn't display everything because that would be too much. Notice, there's a lot of rows, and so if we were to display everything, it would just overload everything. But, this is how we can kind of maybe get a look at it. In later sections, we'll see easier ways, better ways of, getting a quick look at the data set without having to, just do this. But yeah, so that's just kind of how we're bringing in data sets and how we're assigning them to different objects so that we can work with them.